Welcome to Pro Webcast News, where we bring you daily industry updates. Today is Thursday, June 17th, and you're watching the Afternoon Update with Paul Wilson. Today's news is sponsored by Game Plan Financial. Every game has a winner, every winner has a game plan. For more information, please visit gameplanfinancial.com. Now for today's headlines. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, could soon get authority to study the concept of federal regulation of long-term care insurance products. The conference committee in charge of reconciling the House and Senate versions of the large financial services bill, H.R. 4173, agreed this week to include an LTC insurance study amendment to the bill. The HHS would be given authority to analyze whether the federal government should regulate LTC insurance, as well as how much the government should be involved in regulation of the product. The LTC study would affect a Title V provision of the bill that calls for a proposed federal insurance office to study how the federal government should handle insurance regulation. In other insurance news, the institution of a federal office in charge of regulating the insurance industry is moving closer to becoming a reality, with just 2 points remaining to be worked out between U.S. senators and House members charged with creating the final version of the reform bill. The House and Senate versions have been largely spliced together, with agreements on several key points. The office, which would be placed within the U.S. Department of the Treasury, would be called the Federal Insurance Office. The Treasury would be required to work jointly with the U.S. Trade Representative in securing international insurance agreements, and these would be subject to consultation with relevant congressional committees. In addition, the new office would have the authority to request and collect market information from insurers after determining if the information was available elsewhere. Despite the agreements, the Senate has so far refused to compromise on two House requests regarding preemption state laws. The first involves a de novo judicial review of the insurance office's decisions regarding state laws requiring override. The second point of contention involves a House request to replace the Senate version's wider authority for international agreement with a version requiring regulation to be quote-unquote substantially equivalent to state regulation, which would severely limit the office's authority. In investment news, federal regulators this week proposed new disclosure rules regarding target date retirement funds, requiring sponsors to explain how they are investing the money and warn about possible risks. The proposal requiring that marketing materials for target date funds include how investments are being allocated was approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission by a 5-0 vote and could be formally adopted after a 60-day public comment period. Target date funds have been criticized in the wake of the market meltdown for wide variation of returns, as well as excessive risks and high fees. The new proposal would require marketing materials to include a prominent table, chart, or graph featuring the allocations among the various assets over the life of the fund, as well as a statement explaining that the asset allocations change over time. I'm Paul Wilson, and thanks for watching Pro Webcast News. For more in-depth news and features, visit producersweb.com.